Hey people, today I stumbled into the bookstore and I came out with some gold. This book right here called Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm probably really botching his name. But I have seen him before, the author. I've seen a lot of his interviews and his speeches. I know that Toni Morrison is a big fan, and I'm a big fan of Toni Morrison. So if Toni Morrison is a fan, then I'm definitely a fan. But also, you know that because on the cover, it says, by Toni Morrison, it says, this is required reading. And then on the back, she says a little bit more about the book. So Toni Morrison says, I've been wondering who might fill the intellectual void that plagued me after James Baldwin died. Clearly, it is Ta-Nehisi Coates. The language of Between the World and Me, like Coates' journey, is visceral, eloquent, and beautifully redemptive, and its examination of the hazards and hopes of black male life is as profound as it is revelatory. This is required reading. So I figured I had to read it, and I said, you know, even more than get it, I'm going to have it be one of the first books that I review for the Revolutionaries at breakfast. And it's really, really good. A little bit about him, the author. Coates is an American writer, journalist, and educator. He is the national correspondent for The Atlantic. We all know The Atlantic, pretty popular, where he writes about cultural, social, and political issues. And in particular, as noted by the book, he writes a lot about African Americans and the sort of diaspora of African Americans. He's from Baltimore. He's 39. And around that age, I'm not sure when this bio was updated. And he's married to Kenyatta Matthews, and he has a couple books out. But like I said, I'm only maybe about a quarter or so, maybe a little bit less than that, into the book, and I'm already really just hooked on it. And I'll read, you know, a section as I usually do. To be black in the Baltimore of my youth was to be naked before the elements of the world, before all the guns, fists, knives, crack, rape, and disease. The nakedness is not an error nor pathology. The nakedness is the correct and intended result of policy, the predictable upshot of people forced for centuries to live under fear. The law did not protect us, and now, in your time, the law has become an excuse for stopping and frisking you, which is to say, for furthering the assault on your body. But a society that protects some people through a safety net of schools, government-backed home loans, and ancestral wealth, but can only protect you with the club of criminal justice, has either failed at enforcing its good intentions or has succeeded at something much darker. So, you know, there you have it. I mean, it's really a great read, and that sort of summarizes at least the part that I'm reading now. But I'm really hooked on the book. Again, he speaks a lot about this sort of intimate nature of what it is to be black, what it is to be, you know, a so-called black person living in this modern world. And it focuses a lot on the change, I guess, around the sort of maybe 60s and 70s, where you have a sort of change in black neighborhoods, specifically with the rise in drugs and crime. It really does go into a great deal about public policy and about black communities, and really taking a good in-depth look at sort of how things were able to evolve into what they are today. But also, he speaks a lot about not just that being sort of a isolated thing, but how it sort of is directly a result of a lot of stuff that that has been produced really by public policy and by politics and by sort of the fundamental structure of America, which is a pretty big deal considering this sort of platform this guy has. But some of the things that he's saying. So he is, like I said, he's a writer for The Atlantic. He's been on Fox News. He's been on MSNBC. He's been on CNN. He's been on a whole bunch of, really known news outlets on a sort of big stage, worldwide platform. And so I think, in my opinion anyway, it's kind of refreshing and somewhat shocking that someone with such a huge platform is able to really speak out in the way that he is. It's such a smooth read that it really does feel like you're being, told a story. It doesn't really feel like you're reading a memoir or anything of that sort, but it feels like you are really there. He is able to articulate himself very well, tell these stories very well, and not really need to sort of bombard us with just factual information or just statistics, but you really get a sense of the personable nature and the sort of intimate relationship between his son and himself. But he speaks a lot about being and growing up in a black community. And the first question that really comes up in the book is about how to live life as a black man or as a black person, but specifically a black male, and sort of have the understanding that your life or your body, it's not really yours. That understanding that, with the backdrop of things like Trayvon Martin or Eric Garner, and he goes on to list a whole bunch of names in very recent time, how it is to live in that sort of life where that's the backdrop to your life, and sort of trying to deal with the idea and the concept that no matter what you do in this very modern and American society, it's very hard to move forward with your life as a black male, understanding that your body is never really yours, right? So anyway, I'm going to continue reading it. It's a really good book. Again, I really do recommend it to anybody. I got the hard cover copy of it. And I'm going to do another video about it maybe a little bit later after I have read either the whole thing or a good majority of it. But I do want to throw that question out there for you guys, like what it means to be a black body. Like what does that really mean? Like, I mean, even if you yourself are not a personal black body, what does it mean when you look out, in sort of the general media, or even in sort of your group of friends, or at school or work, wherever you are in your community or outside of your community rather, and you see black bodies walking around, or you hear about black bodies, is it in a way that you feel like that black individual has an ownership of their body? Or if you yourself are a black person, what does it mean to be a black body? Do you feel like you have control over your body? Do you feel like you can sort of own your body in the same way that anyone else can? And is there a difference, in being a black body as opposed to any other kind of body? But until then, remember, to keep reading, keep thinking, keep standing out, keep letting your light shine. And remember, the best food for any revolutionary is knowledge. Peace.
One time.